The Greek crisis appears to be getting closer to a final denouement, with Greece struggling to reach agreements with its creditors and people worrying much more intensely now about the risk of a Greek default on its debts and of Greece actually leaving the euro. But we've been seeing this film play out for almost 5.5 years now. So is this really the end? To discuss it with me is Tony Barber, our Europe editor. Tony, as I say, it's been going on a long time now. It does feel more serious now than it's been for some time. What do you think?
Well, I would pick out three factors that make me feel that it is definitely at its most serious. One is that on Thursday, the 11th, the IMF stopped participating at a technical level in the debt talks. They'd never done that before over the previous 5 years. Second thing is that the Greek government has been desperately hoovering up whatever cash it can from various state entities and local authorities all around Greece in an effort to somehow pay public sector salaries and pensions at the end of this month. They really are running out of cash. And the third thing is the size of the repayments that have to be made at the end of June and in July. I mean, there isn't enough money available at present for Greece to make those payments. So those three things make me feel that we are either at the point where there has to be an answer or Greece will default.
And what are the calculations of the two sides? I mean, I guess we can never be entirely sure because it's a kind of high-stakes bluff on either side, with both sort of trying to tempt the other to finally fold their cards and say, okay, well, we'll deal. But do you think the Greeks ultimately think that the Europeans will cut a deal rather than see them leave?
That's certainly what they were thinking. Whether they still think that right now is hard to say. But I think the fact that the Europeans and the IMF hammered out a common position about a week ago was an important sign that they have reached virtually the limit of what they can offer. There'd still be a little bit of flexibility, possibly on something like the scale of primary budget surpluses and so on, but really not much else. And I think the idea that there would be large concessions to Greece at this point it would be very unrealistic on the Greek government's part to expect that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that would worry me from a Greek perspective is they seem to be losing their friends on the other side of the table, so that the European Commission, which was understood to be trying to be slightly softer. Jean-Claude Juncker, the head of that, has apparently, slagged the Greeks off and said he can't deal with them anymore. And Barack Obama at the G7 summit, again, the Americans had really been putting pressure on the Germans and others to don't let this happen. More or less appeared to say, well, look, I sympathise with you, and the Greeks are being impossible.
Well, they certainly have lost a lot of friends, and I think that they have lost friends early in the game, really, by not attending meetings with sufficient preparation done to handle the technical side of negotiations, and also using the talks with the creditors as a kind of forum to propagandize a message about no more austerity around Europe. And one by one, you saw people who had been sympathetic in some ways to the argument that Greece had endured enough by now simply drop off, and in particular in countries that had gone through rescue programs themselves, Spain and Portugal, there's very, very little sympathy now for Greece.
So Tony, finally and briefly, if I can, I mean, for people watching who, as I say, have been watching this movie for a long time, should they finally be paying attention? And when's it going to reach its climax, do you think?
It could reach its climax next Thursday, June the 18th, at a Eurozone finance ministers meeting. If not then really the cut-off point would be June the 30th, by which time the payment of about 1.6 billion euros has to be made to the IMF. So I would say possibly next Thursday, but then, as you say, we've seen this happen before. If not, June the 30th.
Okay, we'll put that date in our diary. Tony Barber, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.